Hello, social workers. Welcome to the Common Factors interview assignment video. Thank you for watching this. I hope it will. In fact, I know it will be beneficial. I know that this isn't the most pleasant thing to look at for the next few minutes. I look like an Amber Alert, like some scary person. But I appreciate you watching this video nonetheless, because your instructors are also going to watch, your co-instructors are also going to watch this video, and what is said here, you'll kind of be held accountable to. So please watch it till the end, and I also, hopefully it will be able to explain. This is a great assignment. It challenges, but it has a lot of steps to it, and to be able to break it down, I think, is important. So let me get my notes up so we're ready to go. So the very first thing in the Common Factors interview assignment is to pick a person to interview. Now, we kind of went through, in Module 1, kind of the standards of ethical practice. Talked about choosing a client and all of that. So just make sure that you choose a client, that it's an adult, and that it's in an ethical manner, and that you are staying within their scope of practice. So again, we also, in this assignment, don't want you to pick someone you know super well. So a spouse, a brother, your mother, because part of this assignment is you're going to demonstrate kind of common factors. And some common factor skills are based on helping build a relationship with someone. And when you already have a super close relationship with them, it can be difficult to demonstrate those. So push yourself. For this assignment, it's really great to pick another student and to do it over Skype or Google Hangouts. So we have the Q&A board, finding a practice partner. You can email your group, members of your group, and ask if they'd be willing to practice with you. So you can find partners that way. So find a partner. It can be someone. It doesn't have to be a classmate. It can be someone, but make sure that it is it fits within the requirements of the class. So once you've picked that person, you want to meet with them, whether again it is over video or in person, and you want to go ahead and have them pick a minor presenting problem. Now, just like the ethical practice guidelines, we want to practice within our scope of practice. So we don't want major depression, suicide, any of those things. We want to pick kind of something like a life transition. Someone wants to get a new job, or they're in the process of adjusting to another job, or going back to school. It can be someone dealing with just the stress of kind of balancing life and school and work and stuff. It could be someone who has a goal to exercise, but for some reason they're just not completing that goal. So those type of issues, procrastination is another good one to explore with someone else if that's an issue. So go ahead and meet with your client and talk about what that presenting problem would be. And then before starting the interview, you want to get their permission to record the interview. And this is key, because you're going to need the recording to do your process recording, because you're going to write verbatim what they said, and it's important. You're never going to remember it, and you should not be trying to do it while you're interviewing them. You will not be able to forge a relationship or demonstrate common factor skills if you're writing every word down they say. Absolutely not. So you want to make sure you record audio or video record. You want to let them know that unless specially requested by your instructor, you're not going to be turning in this audio or video recording. You do want to keep it. You want to keep it until we've graded the assignments. Once the grades are posted, go ahead and destroy it, get rid of it. There's no reason why you need it. But we as staff, as your co-instructors, occasionally there comes a time where we question some authenticity of people's interviews. They've just made someone out of kind of whole cloth. And sometimes we've asked people to produce those audio video recordings as kind of proof that they actually did the assignment the right way. So again, that does not happen very often, but that might be a possibility. We do reserve the right to do that. So go ahead and keep your audio and video recordings until after it's been graded. Okay, so once you've got the permission, you've talked about the assignment, you've got your informed consent, they know exactly, the person you are working with know exactly how you're using this information. You want to go ahead and begin the interview. And you want to go ahead and begin the interview based on their presenting problem or their life's transition or their minor life issue. So you want to, one, get to know them, especially if you're meeting with a fellow student that you don't know. You want to build those relationships. You want to go ahead and get to know them. Then you want to kind of base your interview on kind of finding out and getting information on their presenting problems. So what's the frequency? When did the problem start? When is it worse? When is it better? What thoughts and feelings come up when they're having this issue? What solutions have they tried? What solutions have they thought of? What do they think would be best? Just kind of really exploring the issue, talking it over with them. While the whole thing, that's kind of the interview, but the whole point of the interview is to, during the interview, demonstrate kind of the common factor approach. And so, real briefly, what the common factor approach is, when they started going to evidence-based practice, they started looking at what different therapies, CBT, DBT, psychodynamic, all of these therapies were the best and what kind of led to positive outcomes. And they found that across the board, there were these common factors that led to kind of good therapeutic outcomes. And those common factors were kind of the basic relationship building skills, showing empathy, reflective listening, paraphrasing, developing that relationship where the client felt that they could be trusted. They feel like they could trust the therapist to kind of work on the issues they're presenting. So that's really what you want to develop, is those basic, really kind of common factor. So no matter what therapy you end up using in the future, you have this basis of what you need in order to help someone, and that's building up a positive relationship. I used to have a professor that said, you could know all of the therapies, you could be the smartest therapist in the world, and it doesn't mean a thing if your clients don't come back to you. And that is basically the essence of what common factors is. You're building up that trust and those, using those skills to develop that, to have the clients feel like they're able to then work on the problem with you. And then that's where you use the different therapeutic modalities to help that person then solve that presenting problem. But the basics kind of come back to these common factor skills. So you want to demonstrate those common factors in the interview. So you do the interview, you're asking the questions, you're exploring the issue, while during the whole time you're kind of building up that relationship, demonstrating the common factor skills. And then once that kind of interview is done, it should be, there's not an exact time, but you want to make sure it's long enough that you have a section to pull from to do the process recording. So about 30-ish to 50 minutes-ish. You just don't want it to be 10 minutes because that's not going to give you enough to kind of pull from. So I would say 30 to 50 minutes kind of exploring the problem. And again, just getting the person talking, getting to know them, and really exploring kind of the issue. So 30-ish to 50-ish minutes could be a little less. You wouldn't want it to be extremely a lot more, but that's kind of where we're at. So after the interview's done, and before the the person leaves, you want to ask them to complete the session rating scale. And if you're interviewing, this is what it looks like. If you're interviewing them, if it's a fellow student you're interviewing them, you can email them the form, or if they're in the class, they can just print off and fill out this form and then email it to you. What you want to go ahead and do is cross off the identifying information, because you're going to turn this in, but I don't want to have the person's actual name on it, especially if you used a fellow student or anyone basically. So make sure that you cross that off. Or if they do end up writing their name, just go ahead and black it out to redact their name. But you want to go ahead and fill that out. You're going to use this a little bit later to kind of reflect on how the interview went, but you want to have them complete that. So after they've completed that, you want to thank them for their time, shake them, don't literally shake them, shake their hand, tell them thank you so much, and then you move on to the next step. And the next step is to do the process recording. So the process recording is in this form. There it is, you can see it. And so under dialogue, you want to word for word write down what the person said. Student reflection is kind of what was coming up for you. And then identifying the skills that you use. I'm using this skill and it seems to be helpful. So if you kind of want to see what this looks like, the textbook's actually a really good resource. Pages, I think, 2 through 6 shows what a process recording looks like and what kind of this form looks like. The only thing that the book doesn't do really well that I really want to highlight here is under the student self-reflection, don't just write. The book kind of writes what's going on. I want you to really reflect on what's going on with you. Like, oh, I was feeling really nervous that there was silence, so I asked a question. Or like reading back, and it could be kind of reflecting on it now as you're kind of rereading it. Like, oh, I noticed right then would have been a great opportunity to ask a follow-up question, but I didn't see it at the time. You really want to kind of reflect. If someone is talking about how they hate their mother or something like that, and you notice like, oh, I found myself disagreeing because I have a really good relationship with my mother. Just kind of what is coming up with you. You really want to student reflect. You want to reflect that in that kind of section. It kind of really helps create an awareness. So again, the textbook is a pretty good example, except for I think they could have done a little bit better on the student reflection side. But I explained that now, so we're good. So you want to do that. Now people say, now do I have to transcribe the whole interview? No, because if you did 30 to 50 minutes, that's a lot of transcribing. You want to pick a section, and it doesn't have to be the beginning, it doesn't have to be the middle, it doesn't have to be the end, it can be a section of that interview to transcribe. And I'm not going to give you a specific like 10 minutes of it or 4 pages of transcription. What I want you to do is to pick a section that you can describe that meets kind of the following criteria. One is it's representational of the interview as a whole. 2, it gives you an opportunity to reflect on what was happening. And then 3, it demonstrates common factors and you're able to identify those. So you want to pick a nice chunk that we can kind of understand what's going on and kind of see the flow, but it doesn't have to be the whole interview. Just make sure that you're demonstrating the skills, you're able to have enough to reflect on, and we kind of get a sense of what's going on in the interview. So that's kind of the, I know we like exactness. I want this and that, but really, truly, we're looking for certain things. And sometimes if I just tell you 4 minutes, that may not give us what we want. So I'm telling you what we want, and the length, as long as you cover that, will be pretty good. Okay, so that's this form. Once this form's done, you move on to the next step. The next step is doing the reflection form. This is what it looks like. And the reflection form has a series of questions. And you're just going to fill those out, kind of type them in. So you want to provide, number one, you want to provide a description of your de-identified client. Especially if it's a student, we don't want to know their name, but we do want to kind of know a little bit about them, a snapshot of their life. This is important because this gives us context, so when we're reading the interview, we kind of have an idea of what's going on. So you want to kind of include kind of their age, their gender or what gender they identify as, race and ethnicity if it's important to the interview, and kind of maybe where they're at. They're a student or have several jobs, kind of whatever. So you want it to be enough to get a context, but not so detailed that we know exactly who you're talking about. So it's kind of that middle ground. And then you also want to explain kind of their presenting problem. So we are very clear about what's going on. Again, sometimes if you're just giving us a section of the interview, we don't have that kind of that backstory. So this gives us the backstory, and it's really helpful in grading. So that's question number one. Question two is, what do you see as your strengths in implementing the common factors approach? This is what you felt you did good. You know, I was able to, when there was silence, I was able to honor that. I was able to reflect back or paraphrase what the clients were saying. I really felt like I empathized really well with the client. Those are all ideas of strength. So we want you to kind of identify your strengths, what you felt you did well, and how they kind of fit into the common factors approach. The third question is, what do you think you can improve on? This is always a great question, and one that I always have a big list of things when I do these type of exercises. So what is it that you felt you could improve on? What did you learn from this? What specific areas? And you want to be specific. Finally, question number 4 is, in your estimation, would conducting the session from one specific therapeutic lens have resulted in a different outcome? Now, if you don't know therapeutic lenses a lot, that's okay. Therapeutic lenses, we're talking about like CBT or solution focused or DBT. Basically, what we're trying to understand with this question is, like, you know, would it have made a difference? Yes, no. How would it have been different? Is common factors in line with it? Does it compete with that? How would a specific therapeutic lens been a little bit different? You know, like if I'm working with solution focused and I'm kind of talking about their problem, if I'm strictly looking through that solution focused lens, and I'm really exploring this idea of exceptions, or when there's not a problem, or when they've had a solution, what that kind of looks like. So you just want to kind of explain that. You don't have to do you don't have to do any research. It's just kind of how common factors fit in with the therapeutic lenses. And then number 5 is, what overall is your summary and reflection on the common factors interview and reflection? So this is kind of to sum it up. What is it that you learned? What surprised you? You can put in kind of reflecting from the form you had the client filled out, like, oh, they rated me a lot higher than I thought I did, or I actually was surprised because I thought I did a lot better, but then when I saw the form, it wasn't. You can reflect on what surprised you. I was surprised at how well I did, or I was surprised that once we talked about the problem for 2 or 3 minutes, I didn't know what to say, or whatever. You're just reflecting and kind of giving us that overall kind of summary, and basically what your takeaways are from this. What are the takeaways? What is the end result of this? Okay, so once that's done, then you're almost done. You put it all together and you submit it. Now, you can submit it as a PDF. You can submit it in as a Word document. Don't JPEG it, because it comes up all wonky in Blackboard and we can't grade it. So make sure it's either Word doc or PDF. and then you submit it. Let me make sure my notes are, sorry, my phone's going on. Yep. So the other final suggestions I have is if you have any questions, post them in the Q&A. And the big ending advice that I have is look, if you click on to how you're going to submit the assignment, you click on that link to submit the assignment, you can see view rubric. View your rubric. Do that now. Do that before you start the assignment, and then do it afterwards when you're done. Print off the rubric or grade, or look at the rubric and grade yourself. If students do that, they're going to get a great grade. If you have any questions or not clear what we want, ask them. Post it in the Q&A. We want you to be successful in this assignment. And if you have any questions, let us know. Good luck, and I can't wait to read these. You take care. Have a good day.